turns it off like she doesn't. But I see that because she gets so angry. It's like, fuck these guys. So great.
Oh man, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do well in that situation. If I'm like, fuck these guys, I'm not going to be able to play nice for very long.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
In terms of like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show these guys like how it's done.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
I dig that. Oh, okay. 2013.
2013. Yeah.
Got you turned up good.
Cha.
Good. All right.
Okay. Yep.
What number is this? 7? 7, 8, 9, 10.
7.
11.
And I'm first on this one.
7 odd first.
Yep. 7 odd first. Let's go.
All right, here we go. 3. Are you recording? You are recording.
I am recording.
Oh, there it
Don't
is.
worry, I didn't get any of that bad stuff on there. It's okay. I'll cut that out.
3, 2. Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Capt.
And along with me is Bill Grundler. We're in episode 7 of our Mount Rush Moments CrossFit Games edition, episode of the 2013 CrossFit Games. You just finished 2012. I realized after listening, I had no moments of the actual CrossFit Games.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that too. We were like, and you even said that, you're like, man, I didn't even talk about the games. I just talked about ice cream sandwiches, warm fuzzy feelings, handshakes.
What's funny is someone, because I had said I had no idea where those ice cream sandwiches had come from, and someone messaged me on, I think it was Instagram, and said they're probably these from Whole Foods. I was like, oh, so I ordered 3 of them.
You gonna test them out?
And after eating 2 of them, I was like, these are not it. However, these are.
Let me test it one more time and go for the third one.
Yeah, let me try one more. 4 times a charm. So it was a great suggestion. It was a fantastic ice cream sandwich. However, it wasn't the mythological creature that is the ice cream sandwich from Carson, California. But anybody has any ice cream sandwich suggestions? I'm all ears and taste buds. 2012 was fun. We move into 2013. If you guys haven't heard this episode before, these are me and Bill's favorite moments, our top 4 moments of the CrossFit Games. This is 2013, and they can be anything between, we've been all over the map. I mean, we're talking ice cream sandwiches. We've also talked behind-the-scenes moments from our broadcasting career, our competitive career, just fun stories of after parties we've had. So we're all over the map with this, and it's been a lot of fun. I think it's cool to interject our own personal experience with the CrossFit Games because we go through a lot of the history with our Analyzing the Programming series. So if you guys haven't listened to that, as we go through every single event of the CrossFit Games for the individuals, break it down line item by line item, and we also reference some of our own memories that go along with those events. And at the end, we determine if it was a good test or a bad test. So if you guys haven't heard that, we've done everything from 2007 all the way up to 15.
Yeah.
I believe we're going to record 16. We've gotten a lot of social media clamoring to get this back. So we will bring 2016 Analyzing Programming later this week. But today is for us in our own personal moments, memories, and stories.
So screw you guys.
Of the 2000.
I'm playing. I'm just playing.
And I believe we are on odd number. So
odd number. It's me. I'm up.
Get off.
I am up.
Before we get into our first round,
yeah, bring it.
Allow us to start
Bring
things
it.
the right way.
I'm going to find the video of that. There's a video of somebody playing that instrument somewhere. I'm going to find it. And I'm going to input it.
I'm going to do a little Google search too.
Okay.
We will track this down. And it is genuine laughter. Every time I hear that, it's fantastically awful, which is...
No, dude, it's great, man. It's so good. It's so good.
It is good. I love it. So
yeah, no, that was a good pick. That was a good pick for sure.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. First rush moment of the 2013 CrossFit Games. I have to think of how I want to put this one because it kind of has, it's kind of an experience one. And there were just a lot of things that came out with this one. So the swim event I thought was a really, really cool event. Okay. It was in the pool and the bar muscle ups, and how it was set up was really, really cool. And I just liked how it was added because, you know, everyone, CrossFitters anyway, have gone out there and brought dumbbells or whatever to the pool and done a lap and then did some burpees and tried to do a thrust or whatever. But this was that particular event, which I thought was really cool. But that's not what my rush moment is about. The rush moment for me is the march out of all the guys as they're coming out. And here, I mean, and there are so many pictures, black and white pictures. And it looks like you would think it was like this superhero parade of all these dudes and these just, I mean, ripped, chiseled, jacked. Everyone's just looking super cool, super buff, super badass, and they all march out there like almost in slow motion as they're calling everybody out to the pool, and they're all in the cool background music and like slow motion steps and shoulders are just, you know, jostling and the pecs and the biceps and everything, and they get everyone up there and they put their goggles on. Luckily, most of them have the goggles on right. Some people had their caps on sideways, but we won't talk about that one right now. Oh, they get ready to go. They line them all up, and they're all 10 seconds, 2, 1, beep. And as the beep goes, the dive turned these juggernauts into the most uncoordinated flop, belly flop, feet in the air, hands in the air, landing on the throats when they dive, dog paddling. It's just an array of goofballness I have ever seen. Like, I vocally, when we were broadcasting, started laughing. I'm like, oh man, here they go. And we're gonna, oh my, what the hell is that? It was the funniest thing I had ever seen. And that was when those guys all marched out, that was that picture, that black and white picture. That was the one, that picture was tagged the all CrossFitters take steroids. Yeah. That's how jacked everybody looks. They look so massive and so just superhero iconically awesome. And then you threw them in the water and they just look like a bunch of chihuahuas dog paddling in the pool. It was, oh my gosh, it was so great.
That was one of those, or I was in the stands watching that event.
Did you just throw your hands up in the air?
I felt the same way as it was like 3, 2, 1, go, and they hit the water. I go, oh. That's sad.
Is this level 1 swim lessons? Okay, all level 1s, come on over. Okay, here we go.
I'm being a swimmer snob because I swam in college, so. And again, I was once again watching from the stands, not competing alongside them. So there was still that sore loser athlete mentality where they hit the water. I was like, I belong out there, which I didn't because I actually
totally do
that year and I did not qualify. So I clearly did not belong there.
Right. So funny, man. So funny. Yeah, that was the classic start to that competition for sure for me.
That was cool. All right, well, your first moment will tailor directly into my first moment. And if you guys are listening, I'm pretty sure we say this every episode.
Every time.
I don't know how this happens, but we do have quite the seamless path of moments that work together. And my first moment will be based around that event. And in 2013, I think it was right before I showed up. And we showed up, I think the game started on a Wednesday. So those early days,
Monday or something.
Monday.
Yeah.
You get there really early. Part of it, too, is because the Masters competition at the time would be going on by then. So the Masters competition would happen prior to the individual competition would start. So they were like, what, Monday to Wednesday or Tuesday to Thursday? It was something like that. Anyway, so we got there early, and Dave reached out to me, and he says, would you like to test an event for the CrossFit Games? I was like, hell yes. What is it? And he goes, it's a swim with some bar muscle-ups. I was like, even better.
Yeah.
Now I can look good. And I got to test the very first event of the CrossFit Games. And so how they did this is they had me and Annie Sakamoto come out there to Carson. So where they had the pool, they had this little on-site, they had a soccer stadium, and they had a track, and then they had the tennis stadium. And the Carson, it was really a multi-sport complex or compound. They had soccer fields, practice fields, tennis court practice courts. They had a turf area for football speed training, and they had a pool. And so what they did is they brought all the athletes out to this tiny little pool.
Oh, yeah, to see if they could swim.
To see if they could swim. And I'm watching this, I go, how many
floaties? Where are the floaties?
cards do you have that can pull his big ass out of the water? Because it ain't going to be good. So we got to watch him, and then they all left, and then we got to test this event. So what the event was 10 rounds, 25-yard swim, 3-bar muscle-ups, 25-yard swim. So essentially it was 500 yards of swimming and 30-bar muscle-ups. Mm-hmm. The caveat to that is you had to do the bar muscle-ups in singles. And so when we're doing this, I dive in, I start swimming, and I was like, I feel awesome. But when we were practicing it, our test run showed them how not to do the event because of the way, we had, I don't even know if we had chalk. I think we had a little chalk, but like a towel, but just a raw rig out there. There was just a pull-up bar. They had nothing else. And it was really tricky to navigate because you were wet and your hands were wet. And even if you had chalk, it would get a little slick, and you didn't want to waste time by drying off too much. And what they ended up doing was they ended up on event competition day, they had a team that would dry the pull-up bars off and tape the bars with, I believe, rock tape.
Yeah, it was that black tape. Yeah.
And in between rounds, they would re-tape. They constantly try to keep those bars dry for the athletes. So when I was watching it, when they all dove in, not only was I was like, oh, gosh, just nobody die today, please. I watched them re-tape and dry the bar off, and I was like, well, this is bullshit. But it was really cool. It was fun to test the event and be a part of it. And they did a little video clip of when they revealed what the first event was going to be. So they had me and Annie, and they showed the whole and they got our feedback. So that was really cool to be a part of. Being only my second year on the broadcast team. Yeah. But never being able to test an event. I know you did one in 2011 for the first one you did.
Actually, I did a couple. I did the swim, and I did the dog sled one with the handstand push-ups and the overhead squats, and
with the double unders and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. How many events have you tested? What was that? That was all 2011, wasn't it?
Three or four, I think.
Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, I did one of the team events. I tested one of the team events 2010. I remember I had to carry EC on my back across the field. And that was the first time I met her. I'm like, wow, this girl is really tall. They do taller than I am. And I'm like, okay, I'll just carry her on my back. Cool. What are we doing? Team stuff. All right. Team stuff. Okay, cool.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Gosh, EC.
She's awesome.
Her and a lot of the seminar staff ladies, if they were, I can't remember the height requirement, but they had a special club called the BBC. It was like, I think EC's pushing 6 foot.
She's easily 6 foot. Easily 6 foot, if not 6'1".
And I think it was any girl over 5'7" or 5'8" got to be in the BBC. And it stood for the Big Bitch Club. Which I didn't make up that name, everyone, before you start coming out of the woodwork. This was named by the ladies, of which I was like, can I be in this club? Because I like this club. Yeah, okay, so that was my first rush moment. You talking about the swim. That was the very first CrossFit Games event I ever got to test. And yeah, that was my first moment of the 2013 CrossFit Games.
Awesome. Well, last time, okay, so my second one, for the 2012, you talked about the team that you had coached into the games. I had an individual athlete that I coached into the games this year. So Wes Pyatt was one of my coaches, one of my trainers at my gym, and had him for a couple years. He just got out of the Air Force, and then he came to our gym for the first time and tried the open and was all fired up and giddy and everything. And then we eventually brought him on as a coach. This year was the year that him and his wife moved up to Gilroy, and they opened up their own gym. So it was as he was leaving our gym, opening up his gym, he qualified for the regionals, from the SoCal regionals, and it was a trip because he had an unreal finish at the regionals. He had 2 bad events, but he basically qualified on a tie break over Tommy Pease to get into the game. So it was, he had an unreal, I think he had 3 second places, but he had 2 20-something places on some of the other events. So there was this up and down.
To himself.
Oh man, totally. One of the most, you would see this dude literally throw himself figuratively and literally into the wall and just smash himself onto the floor all the time. He was all heart, just like a bleeding heart out there all the time, just gave everything he had. But I was so stoked that he was able to qualify. So then there was some remote training that I was doing with him and getting him ready for the swim and getting him ready for, just kind of to be out there and everything. And it was really fun to watch him out on the floor. And there's a very weird emotional feeling when, as a competitor, you want to be there. So you're jealous as hell. Yeah. As a coach, you're super proud, so you're proud as hell. As a friend, you're fired up for your buddy that's out there, so you're stoked as hell. And then you see how he's doing, he didn't have a great games. It wasn't anywhere, it wasn't like he's top 10 or anything like that, but there were a lot of people that they go to the games and their first year, it's kind of like their eyes are kind of wide open, like what the hell just happened? And I think that's kind of where that was for him. But the feelings that I had for him out there, and it wasn't even a living through him vicariously. It was just, oh, look at him. He's all grows up. We got him out there and he's all grows up. And man, it was just such a fun, exciting. Oh man, you're attached, you're attached to the games, you're attached to the events, you're attached to how they're doing. And that was one of those times where I'm broadcasting and trying, you can't yell, do this or do that over the microphone. You can't do that. So there's this really weird push and pull feeling. And I don't know, it was a really cool year. I was super stoked for him. Really proud of him. And it was really fun to watch him and a little part of me being out there. It was really cool. That was a really special thing for me. It was cool.
I remember that. That was fun to watch you navigate.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip.
Everything Bill is saying is 100% true. He was so big papa proud of Yeah, he rode the emotional roller coaster all week, and so it was fun to watch you go through that because
Yeah.
I would be going through that at the same time when my team was competing. This was the last year our team
Yeah.
made the CrossFit Games 2013, so
Yeah.
that was fun to watch and talk about afterwards, and that was cool.
No, it was a good time, man. It was a good time for sure.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
times. Wes is a good dude.
Totally.
I like that
Totally.
guy a lot. All right, so let's do this. I will take off your number 2.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
How?
Well, no. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, so this is kind of along the same line. So I'm going to talk about my second rush moment. This is going to be like a multi-fork.
Oh gosh.
It centers all around the legless event.
Oh, okay.
So I'm pulling a piece from yours. I'm going to pull one thread from your story and I'm going to weave it into mine.
Got it.
So the legless event for me, as I looked back on 2013, had so many different components that I really didn't realize how big that event was for me in terms of a spectator, broadcaster, a coach, just an overall fan of the sport and the excitement that came into the games in the tennis stadium. So legless, when we first showed up, and we talked about this a little bit on our Analyzing the Programming series, is that you walked into the stadium. And, we always got early access because we wanted to see the competition floor, where our booth was, where we're supposed to be and not supposed to be. And we're watching this massive rig get assembled. And you couldn't tell what it was going to be because it looked like the killer cage, where you had these 15-foot high monster beams, but there were no pull-up bars anywhere. And they're only connected at the top. And so they were assembling that. And then later, it's this giant grid, basically, is what they're making. Like, what are they going to put in here? And then you start seeing them put ropes. But what they did with the ropes is they tied the ropes to the top, but they wrapped the ropes around the beam so you couldn't see how long they were. You're like, okay, well, maybe they're going to do rope climb. I don't know. So there's all this speculation on what it was going to be. So that was the fun part, is we didn't even know what it's going to be. In fact, I don't even think we knew what the event was until they announced what the event was going to be. They wanted everybody to be surprised.
Yeah. Well, they did that. They did that to us all the time anyway. Everyone thinks that we knew what the events were. We didn't know what the events were all the time.
Sometimes we do, but in those years, until things got legitimized schedule-wise and programming-wise, which I think was about 2015.
2019. So
we're still waiting. We're still waiting. Back in the day, it was, since we weren't on live TV massively scheduled yet.
Right.
The schedule was kind of Dave's schedule.
Yeah. And
Dave's schedule was not a schedule at all. It was just Dave's schedule. So we're like, okay, we'll just wait for Dave. What's the event? It was like, well, we think it's this, but Dave might change it. And so we didn't know it was going to be. I was doing teams at the time. So I'd done women's play-by-play the year before, and now I was doing team play-by-play only.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys might have known what it was, but I didn't know what it was. So the event comes out, and it's this legless event. I'm like, holy crap. I've never thought about doing legless rope climbs before. And when they dropped the ropes, they were like 5 feet off the ground. They were high off the ground. I went back and watched, and they were like eye level with most of the athletes there, which was really cool. So the legless came in, and you saw everyone do their normal legless, and then the women struggled mightily with this. Like, this crushed most of the women's athletes, and the men were struggling too, but not quite as much, until this female athlete that we'd never heard of comes out and starts doing this weird technique that no one had done before. And it was Alessandra Pacelli.
Yep.
doing those kipping, legless climbs.
Yeah.
And it changed the way people do them still to this day. And you'll see that's almost like the last thing you see people do is when they start hitting the struggle bus is they switch to the kip.
Yep, totally.
Or they start with them. And that was really cool to see because that was a classic, I would say, CrossFitter move where you give them this near impossible task and they will figure out the most efficient, easiest way to get the task accomplished. And you got to see that unfold on the competition floor. So that was the cool fan part. The race part was the final heat of men, where it was between Rich Froning, Jordan Troyan, Marcus Hendren. Was there a fourth in there? It got real close towards the end.
Got
I think
tight.
definitely those three.
Yeah.
And, Troyan's chalking up, and he's looking over at Rich, and Rich is looking over at him, and they're baiting each other who's going to go up to the last climb first. And then Hendren drops his bar and basically just runs to the rope like, oh shit, I guess we should all. We all climb, drop. Troyan's running to the finish line with his arms over his head. Marcus Hendren dives headfirst across the finish line, and actually Hendren ends up getting the win, which was the beginnings of what would be the electric finishes at the tennis stadium. And then on the team side, so this is where I'm picking off of your Wes in broadcasting, is that our team, the year before, I talked about, them having, kind of that ultimate disappointment. And there's a few events that really kept them from where we knew they could be. And one of them was a rope climb event. And it killed them, absolutely killed them to where they couldn't climb ropes. And it's specifically one of our athletes that couldn't do it. And, she always blames herself and it's ridiculous because everybody played a part that weekend. But here comes the legless event. And coming into 2013, it was all about Tommy Hackenbrook's team. Mm-hmm. Right? The team it was basically the team competitions are one because HaxPack is coming in. I believe it was to repeat. Yes.
Did that repeat that year?
Yeah, I think that's.
I think you're right.
Because Invictus won 2014.
Yeah.
So HaxPack's coming in. Most dominant team in the world. It's not even close. They're already crowning him. And so this final event's going, and our team is in the final heat, and they're already close in points up to this point. And it was a huge redemption moment. It was really cool. And I think this was part of what brought that group together because it was the same athletes from 2012. Now they're in 2013. It's day one of the team competition. And our final girl to go was one of the ones that couldn't climb the rope in 2012. And I'm broadcasting while trying to keep my shit together. Also not trying to jump out of the booth because they're going right towards us. So the competition floor is those ropes and the way that the event unfolded as they marched towards where we were broadcasting.
Yeah.
And I was trying to keep it together so much. And this is new in the team event series. We didn't know any of the athletes. Teams of 6. There's 10 teams out there. I'm supposed to know 60 people and I can't even see their faces. But for some reason, my team had all the background stats in first. And I was female athlete from HaxPack, and this person's with their middle name and their 2 siblings and blah, blah, blah. And so to kind of wrap this moment up, it got to the final climb, and this athlete is making her way up the rope, and she, at the buzzer, passes all these teams that got stuck and went out way too hard, hits the beam, gets first in the event for the team, kind of conquers all the demons from the past year, and it had our team in first place after day number 1 because of that finish and what they did over the HaxPack team. Now, after that, it went downhill, but that doesn't matter because...
But that's not the moment that we're talking about.
Redemption. And so for me, legless... clearly just had all these different threads into the memories. It was such a cool setup and spectator event to watch, and then seeing CrossFit athletes basically change the way things are done, and under stressful circumstances, exciting finishes, and then watching my own personal experience with my team and how they overcame their demons from the previous year to beat everyone and get themselves in the first place after the first day. It was a really cool redemption moment for them, and just a cool event in total. So
Yeah, good one. Yeah, I was looking at some of the stuff in Legless too. There was a lot of really cool, stories in there, a lot of cool elements that you could have picked all kinds of rush moments from. But I'll let you have that one. We're on 3, yeah?
3.
Okay. My next one will be the clean and jerk event in the soccer stadium.
Ooh.
And the way this looked. And, I think that not all, there's always been kind of a rift between Olympic lifters and CrossFitters and who does what, and, how dare these silly CrossFitters do snatches and clean and jerks for speed and low reps and, whatever, not having your appropriate setup for every single rep and whatever.
CrossFitters.
But I really believe that this one event put Olympic lifting squarely back on the map. And the reason I say that, I mean, not that Olympic lifting wasn't there. I mean, it's always been a great sport, but this was, if you were to go to the Olympics, you wouldn't have this many people cheering this loud for these people lifting these bars over the head. The spectacle of this was so awe-inspiring. Like, me and Sean are sitting up in the booth in our broadcasting booth, way the hell up in the air. You look around and there's just thousands of people in the stands. And as the athletes are lifting these weights, like the roar in the ooh and the ah, whether they get it or they miss it, like this undulating sound up and down and up and down, and the cheers was so incredible. I've never, ever seen anything like that in an Olympic lifting competition. And, to cap it off, when you had the way they had it set up, they had the 3 different paths you can go, how deciding where you want to start your ladder, and then go up from there. And the 2 guys that won that event, it was Asia Bartow and Lucas Parker, they tied. And I think that battle between those 2 guys in the heavy lift area, like there weren't many that went to the 3rd lane to go like, you know what? Yeah. We're going to start off at like, what I don't even remember what it started. I think 315 is what it started at, something like that. They started there. And it was just fun to watch these 2 athletes in this gigantic lifting arena. They are polar opposites. Asia, one of the tallest CrossFitters ever. Yes. Lucas, one of the most technical CrossFitters. I mean, his routine probably took 19 secones every single time, exactly, because he would do the same thing where he'd clasp his hands, he'd pull his arms out, he'd take his breath, he'd bounce his butt a certain number of times. The left hand would go into the bar and slide this many inches. The right hand would go down, he'd set, check, the hamstring, boom, bop, boom, and there was a lift. And then Asia would just get up there, and like every rep took 5 seconds because he's like 6.5 feet tall. So like to get full extension, it took so long. But to watch those guys lift that weight, to listen to the crowd just going nuts, was such a cool way to have athletes lift heavy. And it was, I mean, like, we all feel that same kind of emotion when you're in the gym and you're going for a PR and everyone kind of circles up around you and starts cheering really loud. Like that times thousands for these guys lifting was just, oh man, dude, it was one of the, I mean, it's a lifting event. I wouldn't even say it's really like, I wouldn't even call it a quote unquote CrossFit event, other than like we lift heavy also. It's more of a classic lifting, but dang, it was cool, man. Such an awe-inspiring, gets chills, get the goosebump on your arm, all that kind of stuff feeling. It was awesome.
Lifting events at the games are just a different beast altogether, because I think we touched on this last episode, is the anticipation.
Oh,
The
man.
anticipation, the excitement. It's a lot like, people say the big lift event is like the home run derby.
Yeah.
Not to be too cliche, but that's exactly what it is. The anticipation of the throw, and then the connection, and then watching the ball go is like, is it going to clear?
Yeah.
Lifting events at the games are so fun.
Well, like, you don't have to know anything. It's like, that's heavy. Is he going to get it or not? Like, it's that simple. And I think it's something that's such a raw connection that anyone, no matter where they're from in the world, can understand, can this person lift something heavier than that person? Period. It's that primal. And, man, it was rad. It was so cool.
Primal. But it was cool watching those two guys go head to head because, like you said, they are completely different human beings in both stature and, I would say,
everything.
But yeah,
awesome.
that was good. That was a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Is that 3?
Yeah. Yep. You're on 3.
I will steer away from the individual competition into, I would say this is a primal event for the team side. And it was the team yoke carry. Do you remember this?
Whoa.
Yes.
Vaguely remember this.
So what this was is it wasn't your traditional stationary yoke. So most yokes that people know are probably from I think it was 2015 games. It's just, you 2 metal beams connected with one in between, and you stack weights on the corners and you go. These yokes that they used, I've never seen them since, probably for how it shook out at the games. they were racked, but it was a straight yoke beam across your back. So think of like an ox yoke, right? You just got this thick beam, and then 2 straps that connected to the plates. So the plates were swinging.
Oh, it's like a bamboo bar.
Yeah. So well, the bar wasn't moving, right? The bar doesn't move.
Right.
But they think of it at each end. There's a 2-foot strap.
Yep.
Connected to the plates that are hanging underneath. And what it was as simple as you have this amount of time and you will walk as far as you can with the yoke. But what would happen is that if you drop the yoke, your team had to basically pick it up as a team, place it on the next athlete, and then you could go. And this thing wrecked people because they would try to stabilize, but when the plates are moving, I saw it buckled people, like folded people in half. It was heavy, it was awkward, and to the primal side, I think this is the first time that the big boys, because in these old teams of 6, there was a lot of specialists involved with the teams, right? You had everybody across the sun mixing these teams, partly because of the way the programming was and just the way the team chemistry was. And a lot of times you had a pipe hitter on your team. They were just a giant dude who was there to move heavy things. And so when this yoke carry thing came out, you got to see the big boys come out there. And there were some that just kept going. And I can't remember the time frame. And I think it was short. I should probably look it up. Might as well. But I think it was short, like 2 to 3 minutes. And it was just at the old track, and it was on the grass field, and it was like walk as far as you can. It was like the farmer carry from 2011 for the individuals. And it was to what you said earlier. It's like it was so primal and beastly to watch these massive humans go out there and just start walking until they couldn't walk anymore. So the team yoke carry was super cool to watch. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's got to be on YouTube, but just Google team yoke carry. And it was so badass. But people got hurt. There was no gentle way to put it down, right?
Right.
Where other yokes, you drop it 3 inches and it rests on the ground. Here, it fell.
You remember how heavy it was?
Dude, it was heavy. I should look it up. I'm going to look it up. Try to not waste some time for people listening. Oh, I already have it here. Okay. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. Yes. Oh my gosh. Where is it? I can't find it.
Man, I do remember that. And yokes are super cool because you can carry so much weight, but like if you fail or you got to put it down, like it's only going to drop like 2 inches.
Yeah.
You have to go any lower than that. And you're trying to eject it off your back, off your shoulders somehow, either over your head forward, or dump it weird backward. Ah, that's weird. I do remember that though.
Oh no. I'm an idiot. Am I an idiot?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
Damn it. That was 2012. Oh,
the rush moment of the 2013 thing for Chase is that he brings up 12 games and.
Okay, 13. I have a backup then. Okay. I feel like we just got to edit that out because I talked a lot of it.
Oh my gosh, and there was so much buildup on that too. Dang.
We got to take that out. Oh my God. Okay. I'll change it. F. Okay. Okay, I got my third one. Where is it? Sorry. Okay.
All right, what is it?
All right, my third rush moment. Still very primal and basic. Okay, it depends on where we cut this podcast.
Well, I'm debating whether I want to edit this out or not.
I don't want people to listen for the 7 minutes I've been yapping my gums like, hey, dipshit, that was from 2012.
Awesome.
Maybe we should. Let's just keep it real.
That's what we do.
We'll find out. Okay.
Number three.
And I don't know how I didn't put this in there to begin with. I think I was just so enamored with the yoke. Damn it. All right. My real number 3 was the worm. The team worm. The very first time the worm came out in competition, and we have seen it ever since. It came out in 2013. But the problem with that worm, it was made of wood.
Yeah, that's right. Wood and rope.
Wooden logs with a climbing rope strung between the middle. And that thing, I don't know how a better way to say this. That thing fucked people up so bad on the team side. We're talking like broken bones, broken feet, fingers, shattered ear drums. Like, this thing came out, and I want to say there's like 4 or 5 events that had this worm in it. Dave parades this out. I believe it was the night before.
Yeah, it was at the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel.
Yeah, the unveiling of it.
Using the unveiling of it. And let's see, event 1 had the worm in it. And let's see. I think every day had a worm event to start it off. Yeah. And this thing was so unimaginably dangerous because not only just the weight, but the way it was constructed, that if you drop this thing, like, it came crashing down. We're talking about like hundreds of pounds crashing onto people that they weren't prepared for it. And it was so bad that they immediately the next year revamped it into the worm that we know today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you can get your fingers and stuff stuck between those logs. Logs. That's what it
I'm
is.
surprised people didn't lose fingers. Or there's a guy in our team that has cauliflower ear from that. You guys know what that is? That's if you like look at
All wrestlers know what that is.
wrestlers,
Yeah.
all wrestlers know what that is. But like when their ears just look like these like padded mess, that shit doesn't go away. That's forever. Right? So they like people got permanently maimed by this wooden log that they put in there for the first time that no one got to practice with or look at or train for. And that thing, that was, of all the implements I've seen made, that was the most dangerous piece of equipment I've ever seen at the CrossFit Games. And it's not even close.
Well, and it's, I think
Second
if you look, yeah.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you look at what it is, though, like it didn't seem like it would be that bad until all of a sudden it happened in actual application. All of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. When those two pieces of wood come together, there's an edge there. And that sucks.
It wasn't like everything's tied together, nothing can
slip.
Like there's like 2 to 3 inch gaps, probably even more.
Yeah.
You could get your hand stuck in there.
Oh man.
And I think it was one of those this happens quite a bit. And this is what happens with trial and error and testing and evolving as a sport, is that conceptually, what Dave was trying to do is bring a buds element to the team competition. And what buds use is they use a log, just a one giant
solid log
pole. And they do implements over implements and iterations using that thing and working as a team. And, things like sit-ups and floor presses and squats and holding over your head and it can only be accomplished the easiest way if everyone's basically lifting together, right? Pulling their weight. Well, the problem was, you put that with a team of men and women of different heights and statures, like it just doesn't work. Like if you have 2 guys that are 6'4" and a girl that's 5'4", that log won't ever touch her body. So the idea was cut 6 individual logs of alternating weight, so no weight was exactly the same. And I think they did it because it was wood, and they can't exactly exactly measure all the weight. So like they're kind of all around this area. Another ish moment from the CrossFit Games. And then they'll run a rope through it, and it'll be able to move, and then it can fit on everybody. Conceptually, genius.
Totally.
Until one person dropped the log in the middle of a 30 air squat or log squat burpee event and just about killed everyone on their team because they never knew that was coming. Right? If you're that person in front and this trickle of logs is just slowly waving towards you and just smacks you down to the ground. So,
well, even just think it. I mean, now pretty much everyone that's a competitive CrossFitter has touched a worm. Whether they're like a team person or not, they've grabbed the hold of the worm. To imagine that wooden telephone pole raping across your face without knowing that it's coming down and being bonked by another link in the chain as it comes down, like all that. Oh man. I mean, now people could do that and have the coordination with it, but to have that set up, that's like trying to lift with like barbed wire bars or something. You're like, all right, let's try this one. It's great.
It almost made it not fun because of how many times they had it in there. Like they said, they just had a carry on day 1. They had a carry on day 1. Day 2, they had 30 squats with the worm, 30 burpees over the worm for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then here's the best part is they had event 1 on Sunday, and then the final event was coming. And for the final event, we didn't know what it was. And our team made the finals. Finally, we made the final day. And the past 2 years, they did this like girls relay and winner take all. We're like, we made it. Bring it on. And then Dave was like, all right, 120 handstand push-ups and 40 worm squat clean and jerks. We're like, F it. Like the amount of wind that was taken out of the sails or balloon deflated about what it was, because like I said, like our team was we had some big, strong people in that team, right? We had some beastly athletes, and we're like 120 handstand push-ups. Well, that's not good. And then this worm that is just basically like decimating every one of our teammates up into that point. Like everybody was bleeding and bruised. And like, great, we get to end with that. And the best part was the handstand push-ups weren't against the wall. They were given like a sheet of plywood.
That's
Remember
right.
that?
Yes.
Like, all right, you hold this piece of wood so your big-ass teammates can kick up against it and start doing
right.
handstand push-ups.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was the moment where they all went, I don't want to do this anymore. And they never did.
I wouldn't have either.
They've gone 4 years in a row, and then after that final event of working so hard trying to get to the finals, and the heartbreak from the year before, and then getting to the final event, and then oh god. But that woodworm. That woodworm was the worst.
Yeah, it was pretty badass.
So that was my 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th Mount Rush moment. God, I cannot believe I just did that 2012 thing.
Dude, that's so funny.
I don't know why I thought that.
I don't know either. Yeah, it's all right. All right, my last one. And I will end my Rush moments with the end of the CrossFit Games that year. And so the finals was Cinco 1 and 2. And up to this point, like Rich had already won 2 years in a row. I took second the year before that. The ability that this dude had up to that point was, I mean, it was in the ranks for, at least in our sport, it was in the ranks of Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, like he just could not be touched. And watching him go through the finals, which was a really cool event, it had the heaviest deadlift that they'd done up to that point in a competition, in an event. It had weighted pistols, which was okay. Like you know that the games you always have to up the ante somehow, and these guys were having to do weighted pistols. It had that really deep deficit handstand push-up. It had handstand walks. It had the heavy overhead walking lunge with the weird axle bar. All these weird things that, I mean, the event itself was cool. It was really cool, and the way it was set up was awesome. But Rich marched through both of them, just annihilating everyone. And the way he finished after Cinco's 2 and was able to, pumped his fist up into the crowd and all that kind of stuff, like he didn't even look tired. Like to look all the way back, and this is 7 years ago now, 7 years ago in our sport.
Golly.
And to see someone that was so damn dominant, like at that point, at that point everyone was saying there is no one that will come around to be able to touch this guy. Like how could you even picture anyone that can do what he's doing the way that he's doing it like that? Like there's just no way. And I think I was, I mean, as a fan of the sport, as a fellow athlete, as a commentator, it was fun to watch him get to, because it's like, oh man, yeah, he's up there. But the dominance of 3 at that point, like literally my jaw was on the ground. And I don't get that way with athletes. I don't get oohed and awed by athletes.
Yeah,
that was one of the first times that I had seen that. And I remember even earlier, some of the regionals and stuff like that. I'm like, why is nobody trying to beat him?
Right.
Like I would find myself, just the athlete in me coming out being like, okay, if you guys aren't going to do it, I'm going to do it. Not like I had a chance or anything, but like, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to get, if you guys aren't, step it up, come on. But watching him at the 2013 games, I mean, he put such a branded stamp on his badassery that there was no one that was going to be able to come close to that. And it was, I mean, one of the most impressive things I'd ever seen up to that point. He just annihilated the finish, and the way he ended it like that. I mean, and that was kind of Rich's thing, is like on Sunday you just go and win all the events, but the way he finished that particular year, Unreal. Unreal. I was blown away.
The one that got me was, like, you were talking about the Cinco 2 finish where, you know, the overhead lunges, and he finished and he jumped in the stands with his family.
Yeah.
It was the way he finished Cinco 1.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in the lead at all.
Mm-mm.
It was actually Ben Smith. And Ben Smith, it ended with a 50-foot handstand walk?
Handstand walk, yeah. They had to come across that entire floor.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And Ben Smith is walking on his hands.
And Ben's good at handstand walks.
Very good. And then you watch Rich, who was way behind, look like he started to speed up towards the end to try to run Ben down on his
hands. Yeah.
And he did it. But what was crazy is that you could see his handprints because of the chalk from the deadlifts. And they got bigger gaps because he was literally speeding up to try to run, lack of a better term, run Ben Smith down at the end. And to watch that finish, I go, oh, yeah, okay. This is just a different guy.
Yeah, it was insane, man. It was insane. It was insane what he
was going to get second, but he wanted the win.
Yeah.
He ran his butt down on his hands. And I've never seen someone increase their rate of speed towards the end of the handstand walk. Usually people are just trying not to fall by the end of the walk. Rich increased it. So
he raced
I'm
it.
Totally with it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Rich's domination.
Yeah, it was good.
Well.
All right, your last one. Is it really for this year?
Okay, yes, it is. It's this for this
My
year.
Rushmore for 2013 is from the 2016 games.
Was Matt Fraser's snatch from the region. Like, what are you talking about? Actually, you know what it was from Matt Fraser was it? Snatch. Anyway, it is dealing with the Cincos.
Okay.
And you mentioned the heavy deadlift, and that's exactly what I would like to talk about. Is that heavy deadlift weight. And context-wise, people probably like, oh, what's the big deal? And coming into that year, the heaviest deadlift we've seen in competition is 345 pounds. It was at the regionals in 2012.
Yep.
And it was in the final event. And I think there's only 7 reps.
Yeah, it was 3 rounds of 7, wasn't it?
Rounds of 7 reps.
Yeah, because I did that one. I remember doing that
345. And the previous years before that, it was 315. And 315 still wasn't something you just turned your nose up at.
Right.
Time. And then they bumped it to 345 in 2012. I was like, what the hell is going on? Because that was like the year of the heavy bar.
Yeah.
It was the year of high volume and heavy weights, which totally screwed everybody's overtraining for the next 6 years of CrossFit. So then they had 345 in 2012. And then so we're sitting in the production truck, and they're like, all right, here's the final event. You know, all the broadcasters, MCs are waiting for, I think it was Tony that was telling us what it was. He's like, 5 deadlifts at 405. And I was like, what the F is this? 405 and on a short bar. And like, we just jumped 60 pounds from last year's heaviest weight we've ever done. 90 pounds for what we've been doing for the last 4 years. 405, and obviously my view of the weight is massively skewed because I'm horrible at deadlifts.
Yeah.
And deadlifts that year had already kept me out of the CrossFit Games, and it was only 315. And I remember that was the first time I sat back in my chair. And I would say if you're a very competitive athlete or a competitive person, this doesn't happen very often, if ever. But it was the first time I sat back and almost resolved myself to that maybe I'm
out.
falling behind.
I'm out.
Not like I quit. I was like, man, I can't play in this sandbox.
Yeah.
You know, that was the first time as an athlete where I felt like I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
When that weight came out, I was like, and then in my head, I was like, what backed that feeling up was going and watching the guys do it. I go, oh, yep, this is just different now. Because in my head, I was like, nobody's going to be able to do that. And like, the hardest part was the pistols for people, not the deadlift.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like touch and go 5 for 3 rounds, incredibly fast. Like, oh shoot, yeah, I don't. because I always used to feel like I belonged there. I just didn't make it, right? It's like 2011, I missed it because the deadlift.
Deadlifts.
12, I missed it because I had surgery, but I still felt I was as good, if not better than most people there. And that was just me being a competitor. I'm not saying I was,
Right.
actually. And then 2013, I just missed the games when I was dominating regionals for half of it, and then missed it again because of a deadlift event and a few other factors, getting horribly injured. But that was the first time where I felt that maybe the sport was starting to turn away from what I was capable of doing. And then watching them in the finals, like, shoot.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't quit. Like, next year I still qualified for regionals and, tried again after that. But man, that was the first time where I just kind of sat back and went, it's different now. Right? When I made it, and this is why I only talked about that one show, it was like, it was different. And it was only 3 years prior to that. But now in 2013, watching these guys lift these weights, and especially in the clean and jerk side, I was like, no, this is a different sport now.
Yeah.
In that final event.
What's crazy is there's a video out you can find on YouTube about the 2013 CrossFit Games. It's like 29 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. It's a really good documentary that the media team put together from back in the day. And there's a quote that Justin Berg makes at the end of the video, towards the end of the video, and he's like, what we'd hate to have happen is we look back from, it's 2020 and we look back at the 2013 games and we think, man, we were really sandbagging it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, this was the year when you look at those weights and you look at what everyone had to do, even now, like if you were to have those events now, it would still be a
great event.
All of them. I mean, the weights are still appropriate. You may have more races now because people are up to that, but it's like all of the weights, the reps, how it was set up could still be done completely appropriately. So I mean, applaud to Dave about that, and not trying to kiss his ass or anything like that, but it's cool when you can see that, like, yeah, no, that was a great test. It was good for what it was then. It could still be good now. And you're right. That was I would say that was a turning year. There was a lot, the skills that had to be done, the weights that had to be done, the volume that had to be done. Like, that was a jump. And in those early years, there were big jumps like that, getting us to where we are now. It's insane.
Those events were gnarly.
Oh, dude.
We're not going to go through them here. We've already analyzed the programming in our previous episode of the 2013 games. But, I mean, that was Burden Run, half marathon row,
yeah,
legless,
yeah,
jerk, the sprint chipper across. I mean, like,
so many good events.
It's like, man, this is different.
Yeah.
I either got to drastically change myself,
yeah,
in my training, or I just got to kind of resolve myself to the fact that things are. Times are changing.
Good one, man. I like that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was good. Minus the fact that I talked 8 minutes about the wrong damn year.
We'll just call it a bonus addition to the rush moments.
I'm an idiot. All right. Well, that was our 2013 Mount Rush moments, our top 4/5 in 2012. Moments of this year. We do have analyzing the programming of the 2016 CrossFit Games coming up. If you haven't heard our previous episodes of our Mount Rush moments, they're all available on any podcast platform you listen to. And if you want to go back and listen to the events themselves and our analysis of that, we also have that episode up of analyzing the 2013 CrossFit Games. But that'll do it for this one. 2014 is coming up next. Oh, 2014. Oh, okay, 2014 is probably my favorite year of the CrossFit Games. I can't wait for this round. And I swear I'll use only events from the 2014.
Right.
Oh, well, Bill, good little trip down memory lane.
Ooh, that was fun.
Thank you. All right, 2014 will be next on Mountain Rush Moments. Other than that, guys, go back and listen to it. Thanks for joining us.
Laters.